Okay, so in that video, what you really saw was that lady was talking about the relationship that a square root has with a number squared. And by relationship, we really mean that they're opposites. Just like addition and subtraction are opposites. Like if we had x plus 2 equals 7, to get rid of this 2 or to undo this, we would subtract, because addition and subtraction are opposites. Well, if we had something like x squared equals 9, to solve for x, we would take the square root of this side and the square root of this side. That would leave us with just x equals the square root of 9, which we know is 3. So we need to start understand what that relationship is between a square root and a square, or how they're opposites. Now, what she pointed out specifically in that video is that if we want to write a square root but write it in exponent form, you'll see him say a fractional exponent or a rational exponent. All that is x to the 1/2. These equal the same exact thing. So if we had, again, the square root of 9, we could also write this as 9 to the 1/2, and both would equal 3. They're the same thing. I mean, think about it. Square root. When we're squaring something, that's to the second power, but we're doing the square root. So really, there's kind of an imaginary 2 here that we don't write all the time, and that's why we can know 2 is our denominator here. What we're extending it to, and what we're learning today, is if we have maybe the cube root, if you see a 3 right here, that's called the cube root. If we have the cube root of x, then that is the same as x to the 1/3 power. So we have some similarities there. Not just some similarities, they're the exact same thing. Or if we had x to the 4, or the, that would be like the quad root, x to the 1/4, and so on and so forth. Like she talked about in the video, if we have x to the 4th, what we're trying to figure out what that answer would be is what number can be multiplied together 4 times and give me x. So let me show you 2 quick examples. Let's start with something simple. If they said find 400 to the 1/2, well, we could think about that as the square root of 400. And by punching in our calculator or just looking at 400, we know 400 is 20 times 20, which would give us just 20. So that one's pretty easy. When we see 1/2, we just want to think square root. I would write it in the square root form when we see 1/2 and just do the things that we've been doing all week. Now, where it gets a little bit more difficult is if we have something like the 5th root of 243. We're trying to find a number that we can multiply 5 times and get 243. And a lot of what we're doing here is probably some guessing and checking. So we might try 2 times 2 and try 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 and try that, and we'd see that's only 32, and then we might try it with 3, and eventually we'd find that 3 times 3 times 3 equals 243. So what we write is that our answer is just 3. That the 5th root of 243 is simply 3. And that's what we're going to be practicing today. Is we'll give you some number and we'll say, all right, it's to the 4th root, and you'll have to find out what single number, and that single number becomes your answer, what single number can be multiplied together 4 times and give you what is inside our root. So that's a really quick explanation. I know today's technically only a half day, so hopefully this doesn't take too long. If you have questions, make sure you reach out.